The Boston Bruins once again drop another disappointing game. However, a stat from this game has revealed the truth as to why the Bruins have been suffering some brutal losses as of late. I'm going to be talking about this as well as how the Bruins managed to lose a game yesterday with no shots in the third period. A lot of Bruins fans are fired up. I'm here to settle you down for a little bit. We got to discuss this, see what's going on, and how the Bruins can fix it. And I'll be talking about all of that here in this video. Before we do, though, we're currently at 4,923 subscribers. Our goal is 5K. You know that. We're on the road to 5K. If we can hit that as soon as possible, that would mean the world to me. And as always, your guys' support has been absolutely incredible lately, and I appreciate every single one of you guys watching this video. And I know it's a tough time for Bruins fans, but we had a lot to look forward to, and I'm going to be talking about that today. And like I said, I'm going to be going over kind of the truth behind these losses. These are a string of disappointing losses. We had thought the Bruins were back. The Bruins had seemed to find a little streak where they're going on a hot streak. They were starting to play good. They were starting to get some wins. We all thought that we were back to normal, but unfortunately that is not the case. And I do want to touch on this game in specific before we get into another thing that kind of makes us realize why this team has been losing as of late. And looking at this, I do want to pull up the stat card as usual. You can tell here, a pretty mixed game from this team. It wasn't overly great, but as I mentioned, 0 shots in the third period has really been the killer for the Bruins, and not just in this game. Many other games where you see this team getting single-digit shots, not just in one period, and sometimes not even in two. Sometimes we see it until the end of the game, and it's very disappointing to see the Bruins not shooting the puck, knowing how much talent, how much skill, how much, offensive capabilities they have on this team, especially with guys like David Pastrnak, young Matthew Poitras, Brad Marchand, who's been heating up lately. Like, almost everybody on this team is capable of putting some high numbers on the offense, whether it is shots, goals, assists, points, whatever stat you want to look at. This team is capable of doing that, but they have not. They really, really have not, and I don't understand why this team has been doing this. And we do have some quotes here from Jim Montgomery that we'll get into in a moment as well, but kind of looking at what Scott McLaughlin had to say here from a quote tweet. This is a real big thing to kind of discuss and think about. This is a quote tweet based on someone saying, "How will the team ever develop any chemistry when the lines are juggling so often?" And we've been discussing that here. I've been kind of a critic of that from Jim Montgomery, but I'm also kind of taking into consideration. We know that the lines have to be juggled because nothing is coming from this. The team is not playing good enough in many of the games to withhold those lines throughout the entire game, and let alone into 2 games. And Scott McLaughlin responded to this saying, "They have 0 shots in the third period of a tied game. I think it would be worse coaching to not try something." And I completely agree on this as well. This is one of the opportunities and one of the times that Jim Montgomery has made changes in this game, switching Tyler Johnson and Brad Marchand from the first to second line, swapping their roles. Both were on the left side here in this game, and having this going into this game, no shots after 2 periods, or going into the third period, after 2 periods, having a pretty good game, but then tied game, 0 shots, going into overtime, losing in overtime to the Ottawa Senators, to have not been great either, have not really been good at all. Their goaltending has been a bit shaky there as well. Allmark had been injured, and a few other opportunities that the Bruins had to completely take advantage of this team, and they don't get a shot in the third period. I don't understand how you do it. At least try and get a puck on net from, the half behind the blue line, half ice, something along the lines to get something going, get a shot on net, register a shot on net. That is frankly embarrassing to have this happen, to have this as your label of the game. I don't care if the Bruins had won 15-0. If you see they have no shots in the third period, you know something is going wrong in that game and for that team. And exactly what we've been seeing has been that. And as I mentioned, going into the line, seeing Tyler Johnson on the first line, which I was totally okay with, seeing Brad Marchand on the second. Yep, switch those guys over. Both I can trust to play the first or second line respectively, wherever they want to put those guys. Koepke going down, Brad Marchand being hurt, a few injuries like that were sprinkled around this game should not have had the impact that it had on this team. And we know how much Cole Koepke's meant. We know how much Marchand has meant lately in the history of this team, but still, you have to learn to go around adversity, go around these injuries, go around these players that may be up or down in the lineup, on the Lions, on injuries, health, whatever. there are opportunities that the Bruins need to take advantage of, and this game against the Ottawa Senators was certainly one of them. And I do have a few quotes, as I mentioned here, from Jim Montgomery. I will pull those up now. Pause if you want to read them. I'm going to be going over all of them. I just didn't want to make 5 graphic screenshots, and I wanted you to be able to see these while I'm reading them and look at them all if you wanted to. So we're going to go on the first one. This was all questions, a 91-second press conference from Jim Montgomery last night. He says, this was based on the second period power play that failed leading into the third period issue. The players would have better feel for that. Our lack of execution on the power play was not good enough to generate any kind of scoring chances. I don't know if that fed into the third period with our lack of intensity. And then on why the third periods have been an issue, he says, I don't have an answer. I'm trying to find the words to discuss this, that your coach don't understand. And I obviously know that you don't know fully everything. You don't know what's going on with something. Something should work, and absolutely, the lines I pulled up right here should work. These lines should work in any situation, any scenario, any team, any coach, any system, any league. These lines, the way they play, the way they're built, the way they're structured, should absolutely work. But sorry for going on a tangent, but going back on to our quotes here from Jim Montgomery, in the post-game press conference, this was the question on what he'll do about that to figure it out. Talk about it. We'll look at why we were doing sports science-wise. Right now, I do not have an answer for you. And on conditioning, if that's an issue with the team, we thought so during camp, but we don't think so anymore. So a pretty interesting quote there from Jim Montgomery saying that he did think that going into training camp, that there was an issue with the speed, the training of this team. Not that we've heard that before. That's a very interesting new piece that he was questioning the intensity, not so much the intensity, I do apologize, but the energy that this team will have going into the season. Now, physical energy, not mental energy. So this could be a factor that the Bruins have been kind of, underestimating their players, not coaching them to their full capabilities, thinking that they are still slow to start the season, but this is a very interesting one that we're going to have to take a look at and see if Jim Montgomery progresses on in the coming days. But this was the question on if he thinks whether or not the players are listening. No, I don't question that. So that reveals right there that he thinks the team is listening to him. So if that's the case, is that a problem with the players? Is that a problem with Jim Montgomery? Is that a problem with Jim Montgomery's system? Is that a problem of this line's not working? There's a lot of questions to be asked here as a Bruins fan, as someone who covers the Bruins and talks about the Bruins and watches the Bruins every single day. The fact that he don't think that the players are questioning or not listening to him, then there has to be something going wrong here for this scenario, for this point of the Bruins season so far. And final question on what's preventing the messaging from getting through to players. That's up for you guys to figure out and come up with reasons. We just weren't good enough. You guys can write what you guys think is the malaise team, or I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, and what's going on. We're just not playing good enough. Thanks. Jim Montgomery was certainly not happy after this post-game press conference, and can you blame him? No, you can't. After looking at what we've seen in this team here in this game, looking at what was available, who was ready to go, this whole thing was not acceptable. Not at all acceptable, and I do think that we're going to have this some changes coming. Once again, I feel like I'm saying that after every single game, after every single discussion. This is a very big topic that is going to have to be touched by the Bruins. I think this game was the real killer to what they've been doing lately, and I think the real reason that this team has been doing horrible as of late is just the lack of shots, the non-understanding of what's going on, and that's really what everything Jim Montgomery had to say here is that this team himself, the players, don't really know what's going wrong. And there has to be a method. There has to be a way to fix this so that the players, the team, the staff, everybody understands what the problem is and just kind of go from there. You can't be trying so many different things and still not understand what the problem is for this Bruins team. So if you guys have any idea that you want me to let Jim Montgomery know if I ever get in contact with him, make sure to leave it in the comments because things are getting out of hand. And they're frankly getting to a point of frustration, not for the team, not just the team, I should say, but Bruins fans as well. And we've already been frustrated, but this is getting to a point where it's getting ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure that you have the exact same reactions as all of us, that it's getting to a point where it's more annoying to have to tune into a Bruins game than exciting as it always has been. So, like I said, let me know what you think the issue is here. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. As I mentioned, We're very close to 5K. Your guys' support has been insane lately, and I do appreciate you guys through this very tough time of Bruins content, all these rants. I do appreciate you guys kind of listening to what I have to say, because I know a lot of it is just pure frustration, but, you know, it is what it is at this point. But once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.